Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Tub Sports here. This is Josh Liz coming to you for our most important episode to date. We have a debate here between two kids who are very, very different in their sports views, and you're going to hear them debate tonight. To my right, I have my friend here, Josh Harriman.
Hi, I'm Josh Harriman. I'm from Southwick, and I'm a senior.
And to my left, I have my dear friend, Josh Rongi.
I'm Liz's best friend. I'm from Southwick. This is Josh Rongi speaking. I'm a Cowboys fan because they're better than the Patriots, and I'm a Golden State Warriors fan.
Because Curry
sucks.
sucks.
I might have bandwagon onto them, but that's not the problem. And I don't watch baseball because baseball is kind of boring. But okay.
All right, and what we have here is a debate. It's a 10-question debate within the proximity of a 2.5 to 3 minute answer per opponent here. And at the end, I will open the floor, and they can talk about whatever sports topic they want and debate openly. And let's jump right into it. Question number 1. And Josh Harriman, I'm going to send this one to you first. Who is the GOAT of football and why?
Personally, I think it's Tom Brady. I know it's because I'm a Patriots fan, but he does have, the most rings. I know most people say that's kind of the only reason why he has the GOAT status, but he also has some of the best stats in football history, and he's clutch. He's amazing, man. Jerry Rice is a very good wide receiver, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's as good as Tom Brady. Just flat out like that.
And while Harriman, you still have about a minute and change. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I want to hear what Rongi has to say.
All right, Rongi, I'm going to push this question on to you. Who is the greatest of all time in football and why?
So the greatest of all time, it's a hard question, Mr. Liss. The most accomplished player with the most rings, that'll go to Brady. We'll give that to Brady. He has the most rings, the most team accomplishments, team things. But to be the best, it's personal. It's not just, about the team. Brady doesn't lead any regular season stats. He leads interceptions, least amount of interceptions in his career. Doesn't have the most passing yards, doesn't have the most passing touchdowns, doesn't have a lot of that stuff. So I feel like the best player to ever touch a football field, which is what GOAT means, greatest of all time, greatest to ever play the sport, was Bo Jackson.
I did not even think about Bo Jackson. He was filthy, man.
He's already wrong. See, look at that. Already proved him wrong at one point. I don't even need more time on this.
All right, and that's going to push us into question 2. Who is the better tight end? Rob Gronkowski of the New England Patriots or Tony Gonzalez of the Atlanta Falcons, the Kansas City Chiefs, and other teams to name? Josh Harriman, I'm going to push this to you first.
I still think it's Gronk. So many people tell me it's wrong. It's Tony Gonzalez is what people say, but Gronk, man, he was just filthy. If you put him in single coverage, he'll catch it every time. There's no one that could ever guard him. He was one of the biggest tight ends to play. In my opinion, he was the best. He had hands. He came up clutch. Sure, he got injured a lot, but if he never got injured, guaranteed greatest all time.
All right, that's a very good answer. I'm going to push this over to Josh Rongi. Who is better, Rob Gronkowski or Tony Gonzalez?
Who is better at the sport of football? I'd say Tony Gonzalez.
And what do you have to back that up?
Tony Gonzalez. Well, how many years? Do you know how many years Gronk played in the NFL?
9, to be exact.
I was actually
Do you know how many Tony Gonzalez played in the NFL?
14?
No. Hold up. Let me do the math. 16. 16 years.
I was close for taking a wild guess.
That's how many more years is that? Do the math. How many more years is that thing, Gronk?
That's 7 more years.
That's a lot. Is that 7?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 7. That's a lot of longevity. And longevity is important. Longevity is so important. And not even a matter of fact, who has more yards? Who
7
has
more years?
Yeah, because Gronk was an injury-prone man. He was good. He was so injury-prone. How many seasons did he actually complete without missing a game?
I believe it was 5 or 6, right?
Yes. You'd be correct.
And in those 5 or 6 seasons, he was guaranteed the best tight end, without a doubt.
I don't know. Last year, I don't think he was the best tight end in the league.
Got injured.
He still wasn't the best tight end in the league the year before that.
Why do you think he wasn't?
George Kittle's better. George Kittle was only a big thing last year. George Kittle had a far better year last year. Before that, Zach Ertz. You ever heard of him? kind of amazing.
Yeah, I've heard
Travis Kelce, kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, in the years they mixed, where did Gronk play? No, yeah, Gronk did play when Gonzalez did play. Gonzalez was clearly better.
Gonzalez was old and getting washed
Gronk
up,
isn't even the
and
best
Gronk
tight end to play on the Patriots. The short time Aaron Hernandez played, far better than Gronk.
Oh,
Far better than Gronk.
the hanging man.
However, to talk about Aaron Hernandez, the fact that, yes, they're on the same line, Gronk was definitely the better football player. I think that's a little bit of a
That's a
reach.
little Patriots.
No, that's a reach though. However, Aaron Hernandez was the faster, quicker, and could have, if he played a full career, he maybe could have gone against Gronk, man for man, mano a mano. But I agree with both of you in your own respective opinions.
I just want to ask this one thing though. Who would you rather take in a one-on-one coverage, Gronk or Tony Gonzalez?
Tony Gonzalez.
Well, that's a very tough question. Tony Gonzalez was a guy who could run. Gronk could run. It's just that Gronk was a little bit,
He wasn't as fast.
He wasn't fast.
And he wasn't as quick.
You see, that's striking a nerve with myself. I mean, I'd probably say Gronk, to be honest.
Gronk is huge. That's why.
Yeah,
There's no
okay.
one that can guard him.
Well, it's because you guys are Patriots fans. You're just biased.
Then where's Jason Witten there?
Jason Witten, I'm not a biased Cowboys fan. Jason Witten was good. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, but this year he'll probably be. I got him 13th best tight end in the league, 12th maybe.
And I was just joking about that. I mean, we know that Jason Witten isn't on either of those two levels.
Witten is a top 10 tight end all time.
Yes, he is. I think he
had
is.
hands. He had hands for days. He was slow as shit though.
All right, and that's going to bring us into our next question, which I believe is probably the best question I have down here. Is the NBA an offensive or defensive heavy league? Josh Harriman, I want you to start with this one.
Now, obviously, just looking at the points per game, it's an offensive heavy league. But you can't say that there isn't defense. And I honestly want to ask you, do you mean preseason, postseason, regular season?
At the
Or
NBA,
even the All-Star game?
the NBA in general. Any NBA game you can think of the postseason, the regular season, or the preseason. It's all the NBA has to offer.
If you look at preseason is to show off your offense ability, and so is the All-Star game. The All-Star game is meant for offense. They want to draw in fans. Now, if you look at the regular season, I personally think it's mixed. And if you look at postseason, defense is what wins championships. Look at LeBron when he won with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They wouldn't have won that game if you didn't get that block. That's defense. The Warriors wouldn't have lost if they had Klay Thompson guarding Kyrie even better.
And Rongi, now to push this over to you, is the NBA offensive or defensive?
Okay, so I don't know why he said that, it's offense and defense. Obviously, there's defense in every sport. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And even dumber than that was the fact that he said defense wins championships, because Golden State, the past however many years they've won championships, not a good defensive team. They have been so small. They're tiny. Draymond Green's their power forward. He's 6'7".
And he's known for his defense. Their centers
Yes.
have always been known for their defense.
Draymond
Klay
Green's good at
Thompson.
defense. Steph Curry, their best player, except for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was their best player. But Steph Curry was the centerpiece of the team. Was he good at defense?
Kevin
I mean,
Durant?
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry?
He could play defense, but he wasn't good.
He
Klay
was
Thompson was pretty good.
Klay Thompson was top 5 defensive.
But that
two
team,
guards
were
in
they
my
known
opinion.
for their defense or their offense?
Obviously, they were known for their offense.
Exactly, because
But-
offensive wins championships. In football, maybe it's defense, but offense in the NBA is what won them their 3 championships.
So many games have been ended in the playoffs because of defense.
Oh, also you said the block, but I'm pretty sure the block happened. Guess what happened after that? The shot.
Because there wasn't good enough defense on Kyrie Irving.
Then you can say there's not good enough offense, and that's what caused the block. That was the dumbest thing I've ever
True.
heard you say.
There was good offense leading up to it.
So then there was
LeBron
good
just came-
defense, and then that brought
LeBron
better
came
offense.
out of nowhere. He sprinted his ass off. He worked so hard to get to that position to even give himself a chance.
The
That's
NBA
defense.
now is way higher scoring than what it was back then. So how are you going to say it's not an offensive scoring?
Well,
It's not an offensive lead.
Back then, the 3-point line wasn't used as much. 3-pointers were not used as much. Like MJ, he wasn't known for his shooting ability. He was known for scoring inside. He was insane. Mid-range, he could do it all.
Ray Allen was still a thing. Ray Allen's the arguably second or third best shooter of all time.
Not back then, though. Ray Allen wasn't back then.
I know he wasn't back then, but he was 2000s.
Yeah,
I
that's
just want-
when the 3-point was starting to actually get more used.
And I just want to add this point to Josh Harriman over here. Ray Allen was drafted in '96, so yes, he was not part of that offensive overload, but you have to say that '96 draft class brought in offense. Steve Nash, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant. Steve Nash has the most 50, 40, 90 seasons ever, which is shooting 90% from the free throw line, 40% from three, 50% from the field. There's only a handful of players who have ever done that. Names of Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant, Larry Bird, and Steph Curry. So to say, I think that's where offense started to, really show up. And to one thing in the common era, past 2000, how many actual defensive heavy teams have won a championship? One.
Coming to think,
One.
yeah, one.
One in 19 years. Just to say that, I think the NBA is an offensive league as of right now. You're talking two different generations here.
Now, hold up a second. I did say that it is offensive heavy, but defense still is a big play.
Defense is a big play in every sport. You can't go a sport without playing defense and think you're going to win. But offense is way more important in the NBA.
No, really? If you don't
So it's an offensive
if
league,
you
then
don't
why?
score, you can't win. That's why defense comes into play, though. If you play lockdown defense, they can't score, so they can't win.
All right, and that was a very, very, very good argument from both sides. And now I'm going to move it into question 4. Who is better, Larry Bird or Stephen Curry?
Without.
However, both players have 3 rings. Rings are out of question. Now, what else? Both of them have a 50, 40, 90 season. Both of them are cornerstones of championship-winning teams. What stats do you guys have that prove one from the other? Harriman, I'm gonna give it to you first.
Without a doubt, Steph Curry was the better shooter. It was decently close because Larry Bird was a very good shooter back in his day. But without a doubt, Larry Bird was better in my opinion. He could do it all. He could rebound. He had assists. He could play defense spectacularly. He was bigger. He could post up if he wanted to. He could do it all. Steph Curry, if he tries to post up, he'll get blocked. If Steph Curry tries to go for a rebound, maybe he'll get 6 a game. Larry Bird could get 8 to 9. Larry Bird was a better all-around player. Steph Curry was the better shooter. Larry Bird was the better all-around player.
All right, and I'm gonna move this over to Rongi. What are your standpoints?
No one here has been alive to see, Larry Bird, play his best ball. But with that being said, I respect Larry Bird. But at the time, I don't even know if he was the best player, if he was ever the best player to play the game in his time. Magic Johnson was better than Larry Bird.
Well, Magic Johnson was very good.
Magic Johnson
personally
was better
think
than
that
Bird.
they were back and forth. They were back and forth.
Magic Johnson had
best.
always been better. But Steph Curry, who's won? How many MVPs? Do you know how many MVPs Curry has?
2?
2. How many does Larry Bird have?
3.
But how many unanimous does Curry have?
1.
How many unanimous does Larry Bird have?
0.
How many unanimous does any player in the entire NBA have? How many have ever been unanimous?
Yes, Steph Curry is the only unanimous MVP.
Because he was the best player
that year.
that year. He was by far the best player to play on that court.
But Larry Bird was
Larry
the best
Bird
player
was never
3
the
years.
best player on the court.
3 years.
He was
in a
never
row.
the best player on the
3
court.
years. 3 years. Steph Curry too.
Steph Curry has a unanimous, sir. That's nothing
one.
can. Unanimous should count for 8 because that's never been done before.
It shouldn't count for 8 because it's only one season.
There's always been question. There's always been question in the time when Larry Bird was playing. He was never widely considered the best player. 2015, Steph Curry, not a single person thought someone was better than Steph Curry.
I do want to point out this though. You're looking up stats. I'm not.
Oh, because sorry, I'm not a big basketball fan.
Sorry, you don't know shit.
But he swears again.
Wow.
Okay.
And are we all set on this question? I'd like to move on here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this one's a pretty dumb question I added here, just for the sake of, arguing. Who's a better team, the Red Sox or the Yankees?
This
Carter,
year?
Carter, don't add anything, please.
This year?
In general.
This year, Yankees. All-time Yankees. And I'm a Red Sox fan. I can't lie about it.
Well, that one was easy.
Yeah, that was quick.
All right. Now, here's a question of the day. Is Tom Brady a systems quarterback? Rongi, I want to start with you.
Is that a question?
It's a
Or
question.
Is that a joke? Is that rhetorical?
It's a question.
Because I've never seen someone. You want to hear a quote directly from Tom Brady, that even I know LeBron. He said he was the greatest player to play the game, right? And that's like questionable. But Tom Brady. Let me find the quote word for word. When asked about if he was a system quarterback, I agree with that, and I'll tell you why. I know myself as a player. I'm really a product of what I've been around, who I was coached by, what I play against, and the era I played in. I really believe if a lot of people were in my shoes, they could accomplish the same kind of things. Which means Tom Brady was immensely carried by not immensely carried by, he was a great player. His team has so highly influenced that, and so has the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. If he does not have Bill Belichick, if he has Jason Garrett as a coach, if he has even any coach, Ron Rivera, he is not winning 6 rings. He maybe has 2. He's not even close to an MVP. Not an MVP, sorry. He's not even close to the GOAT discussion.
I can't exactly argue because we don't know what he would be like in another system. He admits that he's a system QB, but we don't know that for a 100% fact. If you put him in any other system, we don't know what will happen. Now, if you put him in the Panthers system where they need a quarterback that can run, he's gone. He's not going to play. He's slow. But if you put him in a different system like New Orleans Saints, maybe he'd still do the same. We don't know. New Orleans Saints have a good running back. They don't expect their quarterback to run. They expect their quarterback to pass. If you put him with the New Orleans Saints, maybe he'd do the same thing, but we don't know.
But you've watched how, even in Super Bowl, what Super Bowl was it they played the Eagles? Awful memory.
52.
52. Super Bowl 52 when they played the Eagles. Do you know who didn't coach? Bill Belichick. Do you know who let Tom Brady make the decisions that game? Do you know who let... Yeah, Bill Belichick let that happen. Tom Brady he didn't have any interceptions that game. Threw 2 TDs. He threw 3 TDs, and he still couldn't win.
No.
He couldn't win without Bill Belichick.
I was expecting you to say one thing about that also. I thought you were going to say he lost to a backup QB.
Oh, he also did lose to a backup QB, Nick Foles, who
to
hasn't been relevant in how long? And then after that Super Bowl, he just got he's going to go carry the Jacksonville Jaguars to a Super Bowl victory.
What was it, 3 years before that he was the MVP? A couple of years before that, he was just the MVP of the league.
Who, Nick Foles?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a backup now.
Because Carson Wentz has immense talent. He has immense talent. He can be very good.
Okay, but he was still a
Carson
backup.
Wentz got hurt.
And then the backup QB brought them to a Super Bowl. He won playoff games.
Exactly. So he didn't just beat the Patriots. He beat multiple other teams.
Yes. And he beat the Patriots.
Wow. Congrats. That happens. Everybody wins some, everybody loses some.
Do you know who doesn't lose some?
Who?
Joe Montana, who's might be the GOAT. But I wasn't going to go into that. Do you know who went 4 for 4 in Super Bowls? Not Brady, Joe Montana. In a 9-year span. That's almost 50%. Almost, literally, Joe Montana had a highly likelihood of going to the Super Bowl than Steph Curry does to make a 3. Winning a Super Bowl, sorry. He has a higher chance of winning a Super Bowl in that 9-year span than Curry did of making a 3.
I can't argue with that point because that is statistics.
I know it is.
You can't argue statistics.
I know.
Numbers
That's
don't
why.
lie.
That's
I
why
can't
Brady
lie.
is not the GOAT.
I can't.
But that's okay. Go ahead, Liz.
All right. Question number 7. This is just kind of a question in general. It's not really a debate. Name the quarterback before Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady.
I knew the name, actually.
Who is it?
I was just talking about him with my dad a few days ago. I can't remember right now. I actually was, not going to lie.
Okay. Do you have any idea, Rongi?
You're going to
The
look
quarterback
it up.
before the Pats?
You
Yeah.
looked it up.
Did I look it up? Did I look it up?
What's his name?
Before Drew Bledsoe. If I was a Pats fan, I'd know. Because I know the Cowboys is Troy Aikman before Tony Romo.
Yeah, but Troy Aikman was also a Hall of Famer. Who was before Troy Aikman?
Ooh, that was a long time ago. I feel like it was Drew. No, not Drew. He was a good quarterback as well. I can't remember the name. That was the 80s.
Exactly my point.
I know. I can't remember the quarterback from the 80s. I'm sorry. You can't remember the quarterback before.
From the 90s.
Was he alive? No, Drew Bledsoe lasted a little bit. You can't remember the quarterback from the 90s.
Wow, that's still out
That's
of my era.
20 years ago,
I was born
Harry.
in 02.
That's 20 years ago.
I was born in 02.
You can't remember a
I'm
quarterback
not
from
20
20
years
years
old.
ago.
I'm not 20 years
You
old.
can't remember a quarterback that started before you were born.
No, I can't.
Good job. Big Pats fan. I think you bandwagoned. I think this is a bandwagon.
Wow,
Am I
that
sitting
was
next to a bandwagon?
No, you're not sitting next
Well,
to
no, you're not sitting next to a bandwagon. I am in the middle.
Am I debating with a bandwagon? I don't like debating with bandwagons.
I can't answer that question.
I'm not a bandwagon. I was born here. This is the team that I grew up watching. I'm not a bandwagon.
Is your dad a Pats fan? I'm pretty sure you grew up watching the Rams.
No, I grew up watching football in general, and I grew up liking to the Patriots
Because they won.
because that's the team from around here.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And to answer everybody's question, it was Steve Grogan. Next question. Does Brady deserve 6 rings, and how many did they actually cheat in?
Cheated in 3, but go ahead.
I
Henry?
personally think they actually deserved 5. Now I'm gonna bring up this for my dad. The one where they won against the Rams, and you can go back and look at the tape. The game never finished. When the field goal went through, there was still a second left on the clock, but they kept running the clock. And that year, the Rams had the best kick returner in the game at that year. So that game technically is never finished.
What? There's a second on the clock, bro. I think
Yeah.
we can call that as finished.
No, but they could have returned it for a touchdown. They had the best kick returner in the league.
You could do a lot of things, man. That was a weird point. I don't know what to say to that list. What's the question?
Does Brady deserve 6 rings, and how many did they actually cheat in, or did they not deserve? Just a question.
This kid can't even remember the question.
No, because of how dumbfounded I are by your points that are just so idiotic and out of this world. It is
How is
blowing
that
my mind. It's almost as idiotic as the ones that saying the Warriors were a defensive team and that's why they won.
I didn't say they were.
You said defense with championships and the Warriors won.
And they
but-
lost because of defense. But we're not on that question.
They beat the Cavs 2
We're not
other
on that
times?
question.
Beat
Repeat
the
the
Cavs
question,
2 other
Robbie.
times. The question is, how should Brady and the Patriots deserve their 6 wings? And how many did they
6
cheat in?
wings.
Sorry, bro, I'm Asian. Make fun of me for being Asian. Good job.
All right. Do you have a point to back that up? How
To
many?
back what up?
What's your stance? What's your
Well-
stance? How many?
Everyone knows they cheated in 3 of them. And even the Deflategate, they
That
still
wasn't
would
during
have.
the Super Bowl.
Well, that led him to a Super Bowl, so
But it wasn't during the Super Bowl. Doesn't count.
that doesn't.
It's during the Super Bowl.
Oh, you can cheat in the playoffs all you're white. That's fine. I'm guessing.
question
You're
is
saying it's
during the
cheat.
Super Bowl.
It's fine to cheat anytime except for the Super Bowl.
No, but the question is during the Super Bowl, not during the playoffs. During the Super Bowl.
During the Super Bowl, well, the Spygate happened. You remember the Spygate? Or do you not remember
do.
that because you bandwagon on
I
the
do.
Patriots?
I do remember.
Okay,
this
then
one.
what happened in the Spygate?
They were looking at the other team's playbook. They were looking through tapes.
You
They were
know who
looking
did
through
that?
Video.
Your goat, and your goat's coach.
Tom Brady didn't do it. It was actually just the quarterback. It was just
Just the quarterback.
sorry,
Yep. See,
just
there it
the
is.
coach.
There it
It
is.
was just the
There it
coach.
is. He admits that Brady is a cheater.
It was just the coach. I
Blows my
followed
mind that he
words.
admits that Brady is a cheater.
I follow
Also,
the
do you remember the Tuck rule?
Yeah, against the Raiders.
The second worst call in NFL history that was.
But that was during the Super Bowl.
No, that wasn't during the Super Bowl.
Exactly my point.
Oh my lord.
And,
Oh,
and
also,
my only point to add, it's not the worst anymore. I can get that off my back. It's not the worst call anymore.
Rams,
All right. Back,
I was gonna
back to
say
you guys.
Des Bryant's catch was the worst call. That's what I was thinking
not
of.
Rams,
Alright.
Saints.
All right, now that we are past this question, we're going to move on to question 9. Who is the better dynasty? This era's Golden State Warriors or the 80s Celtics? Harriman, you're going to take this one first because you were so adamant about adding this point.
I personally don't think it's even a debate if you're talking about an era from 30 years ago. If you're talking about a dynasty from 30 years ago, then it's not even a question. They're better. If you're still talking about them and comparing them to a team nowadays, they're still better.
What's the stats though? You just said that they're better. That's strictly an opinion.
How many rings did they have? 5, 6 during the 80s? 3? Sorry, I was thinking
5, 6, 3. 3.
They were still.
Do you know how
a
many the
dynasty.
Warriors had in a 4-year span?
3?
3.
Yeah, that was during a 4-year span. Are they going to win it this year? Did they win it? Did they win it this year?
No, but they went to the
Oh,
finals.
that's weird.
They went to the finals. How many times in a row? They went. Count this. 5 in a row.
And we won 3. So did you. And we had 3 in a row. How many? Yeah, we had 3 in a row. How many did the Warriors have in a row?
They had 2. And
Oh,
then they had 1.
that's not 3, is it?
That's 3. That's 3 Super Bowls, Harriman. No,
It's not
I'm
3 in a
retard.
row, though, is it? No. If you're still talking about a team from 80 years ago,
80 years ago?
sorry.
I
from
think
the
this
80s,
man. I
30
am
years
debating
ago
with a
from the
literal
80s.
12-year-old.
30 years ago from the 80s. Then it's not
People
even a
still
question.
think MJ's the GOAT. MJ, how long was that? 20 years ago?
It was 20-something years ago.
Technically not. His last season was in 03.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
his last season was
98.
So it doesn't matter if you're
Yeah.
debating from 30 years ago. Greatness recognizes greatness.
Exactly. You're still
But
talking
there's more
about
greatness. The Golden State Warriors in 2018, 2017, the best team to ever step foot on a court.
and they didn't win it that year.
They were still the most talented team. They didn't win it. They didn't win it because who was out like the whole thing?
They kind of lost.
Draymond had to leave games. Steph Curry wasn't in games.
Wow. They were injury prone.
I know, and they still led it to 7.
And you think you think they're the greatest all time? And they were injury prone? Gronk. Injury prone. Greatest all time. Great comparison.
What do you mean great comparison? Yeah, Tony Gonzalez is better than Gronk, not just because he's injury prone, because Gronk retired after 9 seasons.
And
Gonzalez had way
say-
better stats.
Because he had 7 extra seasons.
Okay, who retired early? Who made Gronk retire? Gronk's
Gronk
healthy
wanted
right now,
to.
isn't he?
Gronk wanted to.
Gronk's pretty healthy.
'Cause he
Isn't he
didn't wanna
still
risk getting
debating
injured
coming
again.
back?
He has his, and if you guys stick around for our next podcast, the actual episode, we have Gronk's presser tomorrow on his new future. But we're gonna get into that in a little bit.
He's joining the Cowboys league first.
Okay. And now to move on to the next question. This is our final question in this entire thing. Who is the GOAT of basketball, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
LeBron James.
Ron, again, I'm going to start with you because you said it.
Oh, LeBron James is the GOAT. That's just a fact.
Reason why?
Well, okay, so LeBron's cement is not dry yet. MJ's is. And give me one reason why MJ's the GOAT. Give me 2, actually, because I know you're going to say 6 rings. Name one other than that.
I wasn't going to say 6 rings,
What?
actually.
Say it.
He was all around a better scorer. Now, they didn't use the 3-point line as much back then. He
LeBron
wasn't a
doesn't even
3-point
use the
shooter.
3-point line.
Yes, he does. He still shoots threes.
Yeah, not often. About as
MJ
often as MJ, bro.
He shoots more threes than LeBron. LeBron shoots more threes than MJ did.
Okay, so
MJ
what's another
averaged
point?
close to the same amount of points, maybe a little bit less.
Hmm?
For some of his seasons.
For what?
So like
Who?
at one point
You don't
MJ
even know
was
your
averaging
stats.
26-ish points per game and LeBron just averaged 27. I'm just going based off the last season. I know. I'm going off of one season. He was at like one of his worst seasons, he was averaging 26 points a game and LeBron was averaging 27. LeBron shot more threes. So he made more three-pointers, which is actually, believe it or not, more points. MJ was virtually unstoppable.
Oh,
LeBron can use his size. I'm not saying that MJ's the GOAT. I'm not saying LeBron's the GOAT because I think it's
this
a
debate
very
is about
hard-
who's the GOAT. Who's the GOAT?
I think it's a very hard topic to actually decide. LeBron is a team player first. LeBron is a very, very good team player. MJ wasn't as good as a team player, obviously, but
He was a
a
cancer.
very, very good scorer, and he was a very good defender.
Okay.
Defensive player of the year.
Okay. But so, what stats does MJ have better than LeBron?
Because
Who?
I have stats on memory.
Okay,
You're
fine.
looking at
I'll read it out to you. I'll read
And
it.
you're looking
Do you know
at
who
it
has
now.
more blocks?
LeBron.
Do you know who has
different
more
position.
assists?
LeBron,
Do you know who
I
has
already
more
said he
rebounds
has-
per game? Do you know who has more assists per game? Do you know they're tied for blocks per game actually?
They are?
Yes.
That's kind of weird.
Do you know who has more points?
Overall
Yes.
or average?
No, just points in general.
Overall, LeBron.
Yeah. And you're saying that MJ is better.
I did not say that. I said that I'm not going to choose who.
MJ was on a amazing coach team with an amazingly talented roster. LeBron drafted to the Cavaliers in 03. Was it 03?
Yes.
03. Awful coaching, awful teammates. And
Junis Ilgauskas
how
was
many
pretty
years?
good.
How many years did he spend on the Heat? Was it four? He spent 4 years on the
And he
Heat,
won
and he won
2 rings.
50%. He won 50% of the time he was on the Heat. The only time he had a good team where he had a coach that was comparable and the team wasn't collapsing was those 4 years, and he won 50%. And then he came back to the Cavaliers, his hometown of Akron, Ohio, and then he was able to pull off a ring against the greatest team to ever step out on the court.
Now, you brought up rings, so I guess I'll bring up rings for MJ. 2 3-peats. How many 3-peats does LeBron have? LeBron
doesn't
has
have to have
half
any.
the rings of MJ.
How many? Okay, so how many finals did MJ go to?
I don't know, 8, 9?
Oh my lord, this boy is stupid!
Wow, I'm not looking up stats like
Everyone
you are.
knows that, Harriman. Everyone knows he won. He didn't lose a final, so he has 6. There you go. That's good math right there.
Wow, 6 for 6 then.
Yeah, 6 for 6. Do you know how many LeBron's been to?
How many?
He went to 8 straight. Was it 8 straight? 8 straight finals.
And he only has 3?
I would take going to 8 straight finals, facing from Dirk Nowitzki to
Dirk
Um,
Levitsky?
you know what I'm fucking saying.
Nowitzki?
Dirk to Tim Duncan to Kawhi to Steph Curry, the greatest player, the greatest shooter. Oh, that too. Thank you, Liz. Almost forgot to mention, how many times did LeBron lose in the first round of the finals?
0.
How many times did he get swept in the first round of the playoffs?
Oh, 0.
Okay. How many times did Jordan lose in the first round?
Twice, was it?
Yeah, and guess what happened both those times? Other team, they got out the brooms! They got out the brooms!
Once.
Once, sorry. They got out the brooms, and they just took, MJ, get in the dustpan. Sweep, 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 sweep.
Because he had to try and carry the team.
Boy!
You got Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen,
Dennis
a Hall of
Rodman,
Famer. Dennis Rodman, Hall of Famer.
Rodman.
Rodman, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer.
And LeBron had D. Wade and Chris Bosh. Both
Yes.
of them are going to be Hall of Famers, in my opinion.
Well, not in your opinion. They're going to be Hall of Famers. But yes, back
It's
then. And then
it
he
is
won.
debatable about Chris
You think
Bosh.
Kyrie's going to be a Hall of Famer? Think Kevin
Eventually,
Love's
I
going to be
think
a
he
Hall of
might be.
Famer?
Kevin Love won't. Kevin Love.
Exactly. And those are the two best people on his roster when he won the finals against Golden State.
And hold on, I want to bring it back to one of your points. You said you would take 8 straight finals. How many Super Bowls did Tom Brady go to?
I don't know, 8, 5, 8, 9, 9.
9. So I would take 9 Super Bowl appearances.
Do you know how many
Over
yards?
4.
Do you know how many yards he averaged in this? Do you know how many picks he's thrown in the Super Bowl? Was
No,
it
I don't.
5? I think it's 5. Tom Brady has thrown 5 interceptions
5
in the Super
in
Bowl.
9 games
Yes, that is a lot. It shows that he can,
against the.
and then he gets bailed out
other
by Adam
best
Vinatieri
teams.
in Super Bowls 36, 38. Bailed out by Adam Vinatieri.
Legion of Boom defense.
What about the Legion of Boom defense?
How many picks did he throw against them?
2.
2.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's in 1 game. 4 touchdowns, though. Exactly less. But
So-
he had 4 touchdowns and 2 picks, and they still won that game.
Yeah, do you know who bailed him the hell out of that game? Do you know who bailed him out of that game?
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler made an amazing play. But it was Pete Carroll's mistake. They had in my opinion, the best red zone running back. One of the best to ever live in the red zone. Marshawn Lynch. And they decide to pass on the 1 yard line.
So they got
That's
bailed
their
out.
mistake.
Tom Brady gets
No.
bailed out by Pete Carroll and Malcolm Butler. Tom
That
Brady
is
gets
Pete
bailed
Carroll's
out by
mistake.
Adam Vinatieri in Super Bowls 36 and 38.
And yet he still has the most rings. It doesn't really matter.
It does matter because he got bailed out. He couldn't carry the team to victories.
Oh yeah, that is true. He did win the MVP
Of what?
that season against the Legion of Bloom 49.
Oh, yeah, he won the MVP. And then he gets bailed out in the Super Bowl because he can't perform because he throws 2 picks.
throws 2 picks, yet still wins MVP because he threw 4 touchdowns also.
Herman, MVP doesn't matter.
MVP doesn't matter.
No, MVP doesn't matter. The Super Bowl isn't counted in the MVP. The MVP race, Herman.
The Super Bowl MVP. He won it.
Oh, I thought you were saying MVP
No.
because you got to clarify, man.
Super Bowl MVP.
Who won MVP that year?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
Now that this is over, I'm going to open the floor. What Ronnie just said is a perfect point here. Please continue.
Oh,
Go ahead.
right
Why is
now?
he a better quarterback?
Oh, why Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback? Well, I mean, he's able to how many Hail Marys does that boy have? Like 4. Like
Wow.
4 Hail Mary touchdowns. How many does Brady have?
Hail Marys are luck.
Hail Marys aren't luck when you throw 4 of them.
They are luck.
They're not when you throw 4 of them, bro. 4 Hail
It's
Marys.
literally a
That's
fit-
so.
It's most of the time it's a 50-50 shot.
It's not a 50-50 shot.
Depends on how
It's not a
many
50-50
receivers,
shot.
and depends on how
No,
many
it's not a
defensive
50-50
players.
shot because a 50-50 shot would mean there's a 50-50 chance that ball's going to be caught or dropped. And it's way less than 50-50. It's not like it's going to go in one of the
So
team's
it's less
hands.
than
It goes on
50-50,
the
so
ground.
it's pure luck.
No, not when you're Aaron Rodgers and you're one of the best ever. But that's besides the point because Manning's better than Rodgers and Brady. Breeze is better than Rodgers and Brady.
Ooh.
And what's his face? Drawing a blank on the last one.
Joe Montana, is that who you're gonna say?
Joe Montana's good. I don't know if he's better than Brady and Rodgers.
Steve Young.
Breeze, Manning. I'm forgetting his name.
Well, then I guess.
Oh,
he's
Brett
not that
Favre.
good.
All better.
Well, Brett Favre was an amazing quarterback.
Because you know why?
He was not better.
NBA rings can matter because it's such a small team. But NBA can matter with rings because, you know, that's a small team
Every
sport.
sport matters with rings.
NFL,
If you don't win,
big team sport.
if you
So
don't win the championship, then what does it matter that you even
Because
played
if
that
you're the-
season?
because who has more? Where's Brady on the rankings in passing yards? He's like 4th.
Second,
He's not second.
second or third?
He's not second. You don't even know, Harriman.
He's second
You're
or
over here
third.
talking.
You
and
didn't
don't
know
even
either, so why'd you ask the question?
Because I do know.
Look it up.
Tom Brady, passing yards, 4th behind Breeze, Manning, and Favre, respectively.
Wow, that's passing yards, and then you also look at who has the most passing yards in Super Bowl history.
Because he's been to Super Bowls because his team can carry him there. When you've been to 9 Super Bowls, you can get carried there.
No, I'm good.
You suck.
Continue.
Who has more? Who has the most TDs in NFL history?
I don't know. Peyton
Not
Manning.
Brady.
He's second.
Brady's 3rd, behind Manning and Breeze. You said he's 2nd. He's 3rd. I get that you don't know, but you know, don't just say 2nd
You
when
don't
he's
know
not
without
2nd.
looking up the stats.
Does anyone know this? Not even listen. He's a sports meteorologist.
Dave would know it.
Do you know his completion? How many completions Brady has? Like where he's ranked on the completions list? 4th, behind guess who? Guess who? The big 3: Breeze, Manning, and Favre. The only thing Brady has like a record of that's a season stat that matters is interceptions. Anything
He
else,
throws the least amount of interceptions because he's one of the smartest players to ever live.
but he doesn't have the most yards. He's not even close to the most yards. He's not even close to the most touchdowns.
Who has the most yards? Brett Favre?
Most yards, Drew Brees.
Drew Brees?
Then Manning, then Favre, and then
Peyton Manning.
Brady. What?
Oh, no.
No, I already said no. It
I'm
was
not looking
a
at
setup
stats.
for you to say.
All
that,
right,
bro.
and here's where we're going to conclude it. Great job to both of you gentlemen, and
Except-
I hope you people at home are very happy with the product that we put out today. And we're going to end it here. Follow us on Instagram at Tub Sports, Facebook at Tub Sports, and obviously watch this video on YouTube at Tub Sports. And Harriman, it looks like you have one more thing to add before we're done.
Yeah, I like how well I did without looking up any stats, unlike Rongi over there, who couldn't make a single argument without looking up the stats.
Because stats matter, Harriman. You just go off opinion. You go off your heart, which is cute, but in something that matters with stats, it's disrespectful.
All right, and that's going to conclude this.
What are you calling me right now, Harriman? Why don't you say it? Why don't you say it in the mic?
What am I saying?
Exactly.
What am I saying?
Wait a second. What about hockey?